Well, here we are, still trying to see how many things the movie Back to the Future had right about 2015. So we decided to start this week's Explore Tulsa with a little Oklahoma history.
Then capturing the streets of T-Town.
Followed by the guy on top.
Plus homebrew in a box.
Hi, I'm Stevie Fernandez.
And I'm Trish Whitmer. Thank you so much for including Explore Tulsa in your day.
1989, Trish, and I was one of those watching Back to the Future and believing that in 2015 we would have flying cars and hoverboards.
Well, they did have conference calling on TVs, correct? You can even do that on smart LED TVs you'll find at Video Revolution.
Yeah, but a time machine would be so cool.
What would you do with a time machine?
I would go back and introduce the musical greeting card. Those things are so much fun.
Out of all the things you could bring back to the past, you would take back the musical greeting card?
Think how much happier everyone would be today if they'd have gotten a musical greeting card 26 years ago.
You know, we don't need a big fancy time machine to go into the past.
Is there an app for that?
No, but in Sapulpa, there is a museum that has the past all set up for everyone to enjoy.
The city of Sapulpa was incorporated in 1898, just a few months after the city of Tulsa was. People lived here well before then, mostly Creek Indians. Chief Sapulpa came here in 1855, ran a trading post, and then later started raising cattle, befriended the railroaders who started coming over here in the mid-1880s, who called him chief, though he was really a Creek Indian elder, but not chief, and started referring to this as Sapulpa Station on the railroad. So when we incorporated, everybody already knew us as Sapulpa. When we became a division point for the Frisco Railroad is the early boom, and then in 1905 the Glenpool oil strike, the town really started growing after that. So, but the early Sapulpa was very much a railroad town. It was our biggest paying employer and our best paying employer for the first 30 years that we were here. Well, in the 1960s, and under sort of an urban renewal kick, they put a lot of facades on the front of our brick buildings, and they tore down some of our historical buildings, and that sort of led to some people forming the Historical Society and trying to influence some of those decisions to maintain some of our downtown historical buildings. So at that time there was just 5 of them, and they recruited another 30 or so who went out and got another 100 or so, and just sort of grew from there. They didn't have a building, or any place to store the artifacts, so they filled up their spare bedrooms and garages, and eventually rented storage space until we got this building in 1980, and then we had a home. The first room as you come into the museum is sort of an 1890s, early 1900s, with a men's clothing store and a ladies' millinery, and a display that depicts an old livery stable, one of the first 2 or 3 buildings in town. And then Egan Brothers Mercantile, which is just a general store, has sold a lot of different types of items and bartered with the local farmers. And then we come into this room, and half of it is dedicated to our school system, the early school buildings. And then the other half of the room is for the railroad, which was one of our early businesses, big businesses. And it shows the roundhouse and turntable and our Harvey House Hotel and Restaurant that was built in 1907 and then expanded in 1912. In the next room, we'll see some kitchens, one around 1890s and then the 1930s. What a schoolroom might have looked like, in early Sapulpa, and then a display showing a lot of the toys the kids used to play with, the yo-yos, the Red Ryder BB guns, and such. And then on the second floor, which was originally the Lee Hotel and then later became the YWCA, they have individual rooms that are themed out. One having to do with our territorial courthouse that Sapulpa had. The a diorama showing what the town looked like in 1929, a Creek and Yuchi room showing some artwork and some of the artifacts from the Creek families who have donated here to the museum. A room dedicated to the oil industry and some of the pictures from the early oil rigs and stuff like that. It's a good way of telling the history of the Sapulpa, and many of the families here are generational, so you get a sense of what they went through and how they came to be here, and also for those who are traveling to get a sense of what Oklahoma was like, because it wasn't all plains. There were early businesses and people who strove and worked real hard in order to create what we have today.
Mike and everyone who is part of the Sapulpa Historical Society has done an amazing job with the museum.
If you'd like to learn more or plan a trip for yourself, visit sapulpahistoricalsociety.com to find about tours or special event information.
I really love the way that they had the entire museum laid out artistically.
Sometimes it takes the eye of an artist to find the many beauties that we pass up each and every day.
For example, Tulsa street artist Mark Lewis spends time most days taking out his canvas literally out into the streets of Tulsa to capture our city in a style that is truly remarkable.
And we'll learn all about Mark and the great work he does when we return with more Explore Tulsa.
Ever since the first movie theaters opened in the early 1900s, man has been trying everything to bring that same experience home to enjoy with their families. And for more than 30 years, Video Revolution and their home entertainment experts have been making those dreams come true by designing custom home theater solutions for both in and outdoor use. From 1080p LEDs to the brand new Sony 4K flat panel TVs, or come in to see the latest in sound bars and surround sound setups. Always the top name brands are found at Video Revolution. That same electronic expertise we also apply to your business communications network, from boardroom automation to video wall presentations. No matter what technology the future holds, you can count on Video Revolution to be leading the way. Tulsa's headquarters for the best selection and installation of cutting-edge electronics. Video Revolution on the northwest corner of 71st and Lewis.
Hi there, and thanks again for continuing with us for more Explore Tulsa. Now, Stevie, do you ever do any artwork?
I do love to draw cartoons. How about you?
No, I don't know. I don't really think I'm that good at art stuff.
Are you kidding me? The work that you do with your makeup each and every show to make you look like you do is magical. And I've seen the canvas that you have to start with.
Very funny, but real art is a lifetime commitment from a person like Mark Lewis, whose finished art is just as amazing as it is to watch him work.
You should definitely follow your passion, and I'm not sure you have any other choice, really. I had the support of a high school teacher, and that was really nice. She saw that there was something I would think unique about my work and allowed me to set up independently and work in the classroom, just drawing, really, working on some big drawings. It's interesting because they're not sort of totally unrelated to what I'm doing now, but they're elaborate pen and ink drawings, or these are sort of elaborate collages, you know. They were elaborate pen and ink drawings, and I probably had about the same sort of working routine. I'd work on something for a period of months, you know, 3, 4, 5 or 6 months, that sort of thing. You know, when I started going to college, I was thinking about architecture or illustration, that sort of thing, but once I started working in the painting studio at Oklahoma State University, I felt pretty confident I want to stay with the fine arts route. Well, I started this one at the beginning of the summer, so probably in June, and I've been working on it all summer. I thought I'd be finished by now, actually, but I'll probably work on it some more today and a couple more days, and then I'll put it away for the winter and see if it holds up. And if not, I'll just come back early in the summer and keep working on it. But I think it's getting close. I like the urban landscape, and I really enjoy going to places that are part of my daily routine. I saw this place a couple of years ago and thought, well, maybe there's a possibility of setting up and working here. I'm at the corner of Admiral and Lewis, near the Circle Cinema. And my studio's not far from here, so I sort of know the neighborhood a bit. And once I saw the view, I knew that I wanted to spend some time working on it. And I like just to pick ordinary places, you know, things that you discover and you see in your daily routine, and things I like to explore. I wouldn't probably choose like sort of postcard kinds of images, you know. I'm really interested in sort of daily life and observing daily life, I think. And it's important for me to be there rather than be separated from this view in my studio. I like becoming sort of a part of the neighborhood while I'm working on it and watching people come and go in their daily routines. So I think that's all about part of it. I had a lot of wonderful teachers, so it seemed to me that teaching is an important part of being an artist. And I've been at the University of Tulsa for about 17 years. I've got a lot of wonderful students, and it's fun to see them come along and watch their work develop, and then to see them go on after college and continue to succeed in the art world. Yeah, it's really nice. I have some work on display at First Oklahoma Bank out in Jinx in the lobby. You can see some pieces there. And there's a few pieces in sort of the lobby area at the Zero Art Center in the Brady District too. I've got a couple little shows coming up. I think it's the Mainline Gallery down in the Brady, and then I'm going to have a piece in a show at the PAC, an exhibit called Grayscale. It'll be opening up in a few weeks. You find a way to make it work. It's not practical at all, and it would be simpler to just work in the studio, but I really have to be out here. I mean, I have to become a part of it. I have to observe it. I think that's a much richer experience for me than working from another source.
When I first saw Mark's pieces online, I thought he was working with charcoals, but when I learned that he was cutting out little pieces of paper of varying grays and different colors to create what we see, I mean, I just couldn't believe not only how great it looks, but what it took to make it.
Mark is a very creative artist, and you can see many of his pieces on display at the First Oklahoma Bank in Jinx, or visit marklewispaintingstudio.com for more of his work and upcoming shows.
Watching Mark has inspired me. I'm thinking about making collages out of various colored chewing gum.
That would be called the bottom of your desk chair. But if inspiration is what you seek, then you'll definitely want to meet our next guest.
That's right, Trish. Todd Huston has found many ways in his life to face fear and to turn it into an incredible story that will motivate us all. And it's just ahead when we come back with more Explore Tulsa.
John Erling with Voices of Oklahoma. Our great state has been home to countless individuals whose place in history has been earned through each of their many accomplishments. Voices of Oklahoma's mission is to preserve their story in an oral history presentation like none other. Accounts direct from famous Oklahomans, political figures, and many others who have left their indelible mark on the development, history, and future of Oklahoma. So please, treat yourself by listening to those who are the voices of Oklahoma.
In putting together Explore Tulsa each week, we find that our city is full of amazing people, overcoming the most incredible of odds. Now, Stevie, what were you doing when you were 14?
Trying to figure out how to talk my parents into getting me a sporty car when I was 16.
Oh yeah, how'd that work out for you?
Not quite as I had planned. They bought me an Oldsmobile.
As tragic as that may have seemed to you then, most of us have plans that don't quite work out as expected. But Todd Huston's question is, how do you overcome those challenges, especially when facing the most unfortunate ones?
Well, it all started when I was 14 years old, and I was on Lake Tenkiller here in eastern Oklahoma when the boat had accidentally slipped in reverse. I was behind it, and I got my legs caught in the propellers. And, it was bad. I literally died twice and had to be brought back. And when I was 21, because of the boating accident, I had my leg paralyzed below the right knee, so I couldn't feel it. I didn't have any movement in it, and it would get infected. And at times in life, we get two choices, but neither one of them do we want to choose. You know, it's not like saying I want to go vacation to the beach or the mountains. It's more like, Todd, you want to take a chance and lose your life, or you want to lose your leg? And of course, I chose to lose my leg. All they did was numb me below the waist, and while I was talking to the doctor, he fired up the saw and they amputated my right leg below the knee. Sometimes the opportunities actually come to us, and sometimes we recognize them and sometimes we don't. And this was a case where they were looking for 5 disabled climbers to go climb to the highest elevations of all 50 states. And I just happened to know some people that were involved in that project. Unfortunately, the project fell through, and I decided to go ahead and do the climb on my own. Priority number 1 is survive, right? Very, very, very dangerous what we were doing. Number 2 was to complete climbing the highest points of all 50 states, meaning traveling to each state and going to their highest point. No big deal in Kansas on Mount Sunflower. However, when you're climbing Mount McKinley or Denali, which is over 20,000 feet in Alaska, you're climbing the highest mountain in all of North America. It's extremely dangerous. And then third would be if we could break the record after we survived and completed all 50 states, then that would be a plus. One thing that I tell my audiences is that there is no such thing as fear. And of course people look at you like, you gotta be crazy. But the example I give is if I'm on a cliff and I'm looking down and I have thousands of feet of air below me, I might be thinking, wow, this is really cool. Whereas the person next to me could literally be going to the bathroom in their pants. However, the danger is real. If my rope breaks, I fall, I go splat. But the difference is that they have fear and I don't. Fear is something we create in our minds. And it's a shadow that we cast over the decisions that we need to make, the situations that we're in. And whenever you have a shadow, you can't see. You can't really see clearly what you need to do. So I tell people, get rid of the fear. Because see, if fear were real, it'd be the same for both of us, just like danger. But we create it in our own minds. And that's why it's different. And I have found that there's no advantage to fear. However, recognize the danger, minimize it or eliminate it, and then move forward. There's something that's within you that is much stronger, that's much more powerful than any of this craziness and chaos that is out in the world that is constantly bombarding you. No matter what the situation is out here, whether you interpret as being good or bad or whatever, you will have the peace within you. Because now you are in control of making the decision on how this event is going to affect you, instead of thinking that this event is the one that has the control and the power over you.
Oh my gosh, I have a hard time running up 71st Street towards Yale. I can't imagine taking on the highest points of all the states.
And Todd did it in record time with just one leg. To learn more about his story or how you can book him to speak at your next event, visit toddhuston.com.
After hearing Todd's story, I think I'm ready to take on a new challenge, but not quite at that level of difficulty.
What'd you have in mind?
I'm thinking baby steps, Trish. Like maybe cooking up a batch of my own brewski.
Ooh, then you should start by visiting the folks at High Gravity, which happens to be our next stop when Explore Tulsa continues.
Hey, it's Stevie from Explore Tulsa with my friend and optometrist for many years, Dr. Robert Zellner. Tell everybody why it's so good to come in to see you.
Well, that's a great question. Let's see, we've got 2 great locations. We try to stay cutting edge at every point along the way because let's face it, everybody wants to come in and get taken care of in a timely fashion and get the latest, greatest stuff and save some money and get on with their life. And see clearly.
And if you don't believe it, look on the website.
Absolutely, drzellner.com. You can find that we have our 2 locations at 69th and Memorial and 3030 South Harvard, or you can give us a call at 749-2020 or 461-2020.
And I got 4 kids, and I gotta tell you, as a big family like that,
it's affordable too.
Oh yes, and of course the number one reason, you save some money. I mean, with our 2-pair specials, with our different unique packages that we put together, I mean, you can come in here and your money can go a lot farther than anywhere else.
And that's why with Dr. Robert Zellner and Associates, seeing is believing.
Oh, I like that, Stevie. Well done.
Today on Explore Tulsa, we have gone back in time already at least once, but now we remember 1978.
That was the year that our 39th president, Jimmy Carter, once again legalized home brewing.
And today, many people see home brewing as an art with all kinds of concoctions. I'm thinking something with a strong chocolate flavor.
Let us know how that works for you, but maybe we should check with the experts first at High Gravity.
It kind of started as a joke. We were in the IT world and we got outsourced to IBM, and it was, kind of like a bitter divorce. and we decided that, maybe we should do something for ourselves. And there wasn't a really good place to get homebrew supplies in Tulsa, so we just kind of started joking, well, we should just open up our own homebrew store. We can bring our bird to work with us, and we'd be our own boss. And then, like 9 months later, we had a store. So. Well, I discovered beer several years ago, and so when I met my husband, I found out he was a home brewer, and I thought, oh, that's really cool, because I always wanted to learn how to brew beer, so I decided to marry him. We came up with the name High Gravity because it's a brewing term. Gravity refers to the amount of sugar that's in the liquid, which is your potential alcohol, and a high gravity is something with a lot of potential alcohol, and the store is full of potential alcohol, so we thought it was very clever. Homebrewers love brewing beer because it's like a craft. You get to share it with your friends, you get to play with recipes, and it's kind of dweeby geeky, there's a lot of science behind it, so it draws in a lot of people that are interested in that kind of stuff, and it's fun to make, it's fun to design the beer, and it's fun to share the beer. Yeah, so there are over 100 designated styles of beers that exist, like for competitions and things like that. And homebrewers can duplicate any of those. They can make any style of beer that's out there. Well, his name is Pippin, and he's just a member of the family. And when we worked in the IT world, he was home alone for several hours, and it really bothered us. And birds are very social creatures, so that was one of the criteria when we decided that we didn't want to be in the IT world anymore, that we'd have somewhere we could take our bird with us so that he wouldn't be so lonely. Now, if you're a first-time brewer, you don't need a lot to get started. The best thing to do is to get a starter equipment kit, and that's going to come with your basic equipment. It's going to have your fermenting bucket, it's going to have a bottling bucket, it's going to have a capper to cap the beer bottles, and sanitizer, and there's a little book on brewing beer that's in there. And then you would get a batch of beer, and I would recommend getting one that is in a kit form. We have several of those to choose from, so you just we find out what kind of beer you like to drink, and then we'll steer you towards that kit. And it's like following a recipe. If you can follow a recipe in a cookbook, you can brew beer. Now, when you're brewing a batch of beer, there's your initial cooking of the beer, and each recipe is slightly different. So you'll get grains that make that beer that flavor. You'll get hops that contribute to that kind of beer, and you'll cook it. And then once it goes into the fermenter, that's when you pit your yeast, and it has to set for several days. Usually about 2 weeks is a good time frame to let your beer set and let it ferment. And while it's fermenting, it's converting all those sugars into alcohol. And then at that point, you actually have to add a controlled amount of sugar to the beer, and when you bottle it, so that it carbonates in the bottle. So it's natural carbonation. You're not using forced CO2 when you bottle your beer. And then it needs to sit in the bottle for a couple of weeks. We have over 200, and I think my last count was 220 different wine kits that we sell in the store, and they're varietal juices from around the world. They come in a condensed form, so it's easy for transport. They all make 6 gallons of wine, which is 30 bottles of wine, And they range from light-bodied to really full-bodied wines. We have wines that are ready to drink in a month or two, and then we have wines that age for 2 or 3 years and last up to 7 years. Oh gosh, yeah, being part of the brewing family and community in Tulsa is great. It's great being part of a group where we have something in common. We have some very dear friends now because of the store that we would have never met. We wouldn't know them if we hadn't opened our store, so I'm just a very happy person.
Brewing beer looks like it could be a lot of fun, but I don't think I want to get a bird.
You don't need a bird, silly. That was just their pet. If you'd like to learn more about brewing for yourself, visit highgravitybrew.com.
So Trish, a bird walks into a bar.
Let me stop you there. Stick around. There's more Explore Tulsa just ahead.
Hi, Dr. Robert Zellner here. For over 20 years, I've offered affordable, convenient eye care in Tulsa. Right now, you can get 1 pair of glasses or contact lenses starting at just $99 or my 2-pair deal for $129. Hey, and as always, the eye exam's included. Walk-ins are always welcome. Glasses are ready in about an hour. Plus, we have over 2,000 frames to choose from. We're open 7 days a week. Come see why we're voted Tulsa's best. And our drive-thru at 69th and Memorial makes pickup simple and easy. For the best eye care value in Tulsa, Dr. Robert Zellner and Associates.
At Video Revolution, our home entertainment experts have been designing custom home theater solutions for both in and outdoor use for over 30 years. From flat panel LED TVs to 4K projector systems, the top name brands are here at Video Revolution. That same electronic expertise we also apply to our business communications network, from boardroom automation to video wall presentations. Video Revolution, Tulsa's headquarters for the best selection and installation of cutting-edge technology.
Be sure to join us next week when we taste some of Mike's famous barbecue at 91st in Delaware.
Special thanks to Mike Jeffries for showing and teaching us a little about the history of his hometown at the Sapulpa Historical Society Museum.
Thanks too to artist Mark Lewis for letting us join him as he created some wonderful art on the streets of Tulsa. And thanks to Todd Huston for sharing his story with us and motivating us all to be fearless.
Also, thanks to Desiree Knott for showing us how homebrew is made at High Gravity.
Remember, if you miss any of the show, you can always catch us at exploretulsa.com.
As always, each week we feature the people, places, and attractions that make us proud to call Tulsa our home.
Hey, don't forget to like us on Facebook. Share with us someone you think Tulsa should know more about.
Plus, remember, Explore Tulsa is brought to you by Video Revolution, located on the northwest corner of 71st and Lewis.
Stop by, say hello to Ron and all the guys for your home entertainment needs.
And Explore Tulsa is also proudly brought to you by Dr. Robert Zollner and Associates.
Home of the 2-pair deal starting at just $99 with 2 locations, 3030 South Harvard and 69th and Memorial.
Well, that's all the time we have for you on this week's show, but we'll see you next week right here on Explore Tulsa.